Limitless personal power is the foundation of creating positive results in every single aspect of your life. Who's ready to create some positive results in their life? Awesome. We've got some clarity. What if I told you that what I had to give you today would give you so much more confidence in stepping away from Limitless this week to create permanent change in your life? Would you be interested? Awesome. And what if I could guarantee that every single person in this room would never be the same again? Who wants that in their life? All right. Good. So Chris has done a beautiful job of introducing the topic and introducing the process and teaching you about limiting beliefs and such. And we've talked about the limitless leap, and so many exciting things are happening. I want to see who has their wristband on. Who has their wristbands? Okay, I want to invite you all to turn your wristbands to gray. We're going to start at the beginning, right here, right now. And this is what you get to do every day, as many times as you want. And the more you do this, the more you will see yourself more clearly. So by the end of this process, we're all going to turn our wristbands to red. How does that sound? Every single one of us? Good. All right, so I like to see myself as an expert in alignment. And how can I claim that expertise? Because I know what it feels like to be grossly out of alignment. And I've paid the price to get back into alignment. And I've learned some tools that have been powerful for me that I'd like to share with you today. But before I do that, I'd like permission to share something really personal. I was out of alignment for a really long time. I had a lot of resistance, and often I found myself in pretty serious burnout. Who's experienced resistance? And who's had burnout? Good. I'd like to share a very specific moment in my life where I was absolutely at the end of my rope. This wasn't just any burnout. This wasn't just any resistance. The darkness had consumed me so powerfully that I truly felt like a hopeless case. Can anyone relate to that? So I'll never forget this day. I'm driving home, and I have a car full of groceries, and I just took a lot of energy to make that grocery trip, and I found myself pulling up in the driveway, and I put myself in park. I'm just sitting there with my hands absolutely frozen to the wheel. And I found myself contemplating this resistance and this feeling of just desperation and helplessness. Contemplating all the years of chronic illness in the form of severe physical pain, depression, anxiety, fatigue, unexplainable. Our finances were in absolute shambles. My marriage was strained. And my children very often had a wicked witch of the West for a mother. So as I'm contemplating this, and my hands are frozen to the wheel, and I'm just sitting there, I had this thought. You know, it would be so easy if I just put this car in reverse and I went back 2 miles down the road to that curve in the road, that there was a cliff and no guardrail. And it would be seen as an accident. And it would be over. I would be out of pain. I would no longer be a burden on my husband and my children. I would no longer have to see the look of terror in their eyes when I switched and lost control and turned into that wicked witch of the West. I was absolutely convinced that they would be better off without me. And as I'm sitting there frozen and making this thought, I actually moved my hand over to the gear shift. And just as I was about to put the car in reverse and tears streaming down my face, a voice came into my head. No, they wouldn't. They love you. They need you. They want you. The world needs you and wants you. You have a unique gift and a unique message that the world needs. And I have created you to share. Now you get those groceries out of that car and you march in that house right now. Okay. And so I did. I walked into the house and my arms are totally, and I just am so tired. And I'm walking in and you know what I'm greeted with? Mommy. 2 pairs of arms and legs bowling me over and wrapping around my body, and a loving husband who rescued me from this load of groceries in my arms. Now that day could have ended tragically for me, but instead, it was a new day. It ended with a choice and a determination to create something new in my life. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was determined. And it began a 7-year journey getting back into alignment with truth and with my personal power. Now, for 6 years, I worked really hard, but something was missing. I read a lot of books. I learned a lot in my bed, reading. Google search was a great resource, right? I got really good at Google search. And yet, I was still producing some of the same fruits in my life. I might have been a little happier, and I did see some results. I lost a little weight. By the way, I was like 100 pounds overweight at the time. And so then I realized that, man, I'm trying to do this alone. That little voice came in my head again. It wasn't so loud this time, but it said, you need help. Why are you trying to do this by yourself? There's a lot of people out there that can help you. Who try to do it by themselves all the time? Whoa, a lot of you. I'm not alone. You guys didn't get my joke. That's okay. You're not alone. Sorry, every time I hear certain words, these songs just come into my mind. Look, a squirrel. So what did I just say? Where was I? You're not alone. So I realized I needed a mentor in my life. So I went to this event called Live Big. Who's heard of Live Big? Okay. I went to Live Big back in March. So it's been almost a year to today that I went to Live Big for the first time. And I met these 2 crazy guys. This one guy named Gerald Rogers, who did this like really weird dance. Do you guys know the Gerald? Such a nerd. And then I met this like warrior guy, Chris Crone, who like every time he talked, his veins would like pop out of his neck, right? But they touched my heart. They had a light, and I knew that what they were saying to me spoke truth. And they taught me about this concept of the beliefs being at the core of everything that you're creating in your life physically. And that's when things really began to shift. By September, I attended my first Limitless. Yes, I was a first-timer too, right? Okay, yay for the first-timers. This is good. And then I found myself, strangely, because I was kind of like this. I'll come, but Gerald always has us stand up and high-five each other, and it's just dumb. I totally was, I knew I needed to be there, and they touched my heart, and I knew they had truth, and I was ready for more. But I don't know, there was something in me that was resisting. But I find myself buying a VIP ticket with every single penny I had left in my bank account. I maybe had 5 cents left. And then, by the end of the event, I found myself joining Inner Circle. Weird. I mean, who would do that? Who would invest in themselves like that? I would. I was done being alone. And what we do in Inner Circle had more power than anything I could create in 6 years of my life. 2 months, I had created more results in every aspect of my life than I had, I would say 6 years of that journey, but I'm going to say 31 years of my life. That's pretty awesome results, wouldn't you agree? 2 months. Okay. Now, I'm not going to tell you what these results were yet, because I want to talk about this concept of alignment a little bit further. What exactly is alignment? Chris did kind of explain this a little bit already. Alignment is basically the principle of whether or not your beliefs are aligned with lies or truth. And when I'm talking about lies, I mean limiting beliefs. Okay, I want to raise your hand because I want to make sure we're all on the same page. You all understand now what a limiting belief is. Okay, some of you didn't raise your hands. So I'm just going to say limiting belief is another way of saying lie. Okay? And we're just going to make it simple. So alignment is when your beliefs are either aligned with beliefs that limit you, limiting beliefs or lies, or truth. So Chris taught me this concept of roots and fruits in the garden of our minds, and this was back in March, and I learned that, when we plant our trees in lies, we produce rotten fruit. So lies produce what kind of fruit? Rotten fruit. And then when we plant our trees in truth, it produces good fruit. What kind of fruit? Good fruit. So what kind of fruit do we want? Good fruit. I hope everyone said good. I'm just checking, making sure you're paying attention. Okay, so we know what alignment is. The next thing I want to address is, how do I know when I'm out of alignment? Can you all read that? Okay. How do I know when I'm out of alignment? And I'm going to give you 3 clues. How many? 3 clues that will let you know you're out of alignment every single time. The first clue, I want you to write this down. Emotions. We have this great alarm system in our body called emotions that let us know every time we're out of alignment. For example, can I have some mic runners just in case? I've got some rotten fruit in my life. I was sick as a dog. And think about, just for a second, think about some rotten fruit in your life. What kind of emotions are produced by rotten fruit? I'd like to get some ideas. Anger, sick. What are some actual emotions? Frustration.
Apathy. Disgust.
Shout it louder. Apathy. Oh, that's an interesting one. Guilt, sorrow. Anything else? Discouragement. Hate. Revenge. Wow, these are some powerful. Bitterness. Shame. Oh, shame. That's a good one. Grief. Humility. Good. Confusion. Hate. So emotions are a really great clue to let us know we're out of alignment. Emotions are good what? Clues. All right, the next clue, so the first clue was emotion. The next clue is your body. What's the next clue? Your body. Your body's going to tell you every time. Anytime your body is giving you negative feedback through obesity or physical pain or tiredness or, anything that causes discomfort, that's a sign that you're out of alignment. Let me tell you what happened to me when I was choosing into these limiting beliefs or lies. Some of my big ones were, you're not lovable or worthy of love. Who can relate to that? I'm not good enough. Who can relate to that? Okay. I'm an embarrassment. Who can relate to that? Okay, so these are all examples. So 22 years of severe chronic illness in the form of physical pain, debilitating, fatigue, obesity. At one point I was 100 pounds overweight, as I mentioned before, and anxiety and brain fog. All these symptoms, unexplainable. And I spent years going to the doctor trying to figure out a diagnosis, and eventually they gave me a name for it. Do you know what they called it? Fibromyalgia. You've seen me on TV, huh? Just kidding. Fibromyalgia. Yeah. Do you know what they do for fibromyalgia? Nothing. Okay, they have some drugs now, they told me, but then there was like this big long list of side effects. Like, I'm not doing that. I've already tried all these meds and they've messed up my body. So I walked away basically with a diagnosis and no solution. So anytime your body is showing you signs physically that are uncomfortable, then that's a sign you're out of alignment. So the last clue I'm going to give you, we've heard a lot about this, haven't we? Do you guys remember Jacqueline's talk on victimhood? Didn't she do amazing? Victimhood. Anytime you find yourself making excuses, well, I can't do that because, I don't know, I'm just tired. Oh, I can't, I can't be a professional singer because I'm just sick all the time and the doctors don't really know what's going on. Or, if my husband would provide for me, then maybe I could be a professional singer. Blame or excuses is when you know you're in victimhood. Who's ever played the victim? Come on, fess up. Every hand should be up in this room, I'm just saying. Okay, it's all right. You don't have to admit it to me right now, maybe later secretly, and then I'll keep your secret. Okay, so these are the 3 clues: emotion, body, and victimhood. As long as we stay in victimhood, we are going to stay stuck right here in our little limit zone, out of alignment, and we're going to keep producing all this nasty fruit dripping from our tree and making a nasty mess all around us. The minute we take responsibility, we step out of that limit zone and into alignment, and that's where we are clear and ready to receive truth. So the minute we take what? Responsibility. Who can we control? Right. I can always control how I perceive something. I can always control what I believe, what I feel. We are always at choice. The minute that I had that epiphany, the no duh moment, Kara, you are not a victim. You are always at choice. Wow, that was a cool moment. I don't know why it didn't occur to me sooner, but I'm not judging that because I'm celebrating that moment, and later we're going to celebrate it some more. That I really have a choice. I get to decide if I want to feel that. I get to decide if I want to believe in that. How cool is that? How cool is that? The last question is, how do I get back into alignment? Now you get to do this process with me. Now I've condensed it down to 3 steps from Chris's 6, but what I'm going to do with you today is essentially the belief breakthrough script. Who's all VIPs here? So some of you have actually seen that script. I'm going to give you a simplified version, and I want to tell you right here, right now, that nothing I have done to create healing in my physical body has been more powerful than these 3 steps that I'm going to give you. I even became a Reiki master and practiced energy work for several years professionally. But then I was introduced to Belief Breakthrough. That's when change started happening, because then I could get to the core, to the seeds that had been planted, pull them out, and get new seeds. I hope you guys all got that down. Okay, here's our process. Are y'all ready? You have your pens ready? Good. Okay, first step. We're going to identify the limiting belief. And I'm going to go through this really quickly because then I want to step into our process. And I think I'm running out of time. So, number 2 is identify the limiting belief. Okay? Oops, I totally did that wrong. Huh? It's all good. We go with the flow here at Limitless because we're limitless. Okay, number 1, ground. Number 2, we're going to identify that limiting belief. Oh, that M has 3 humps. Okay. Limiting belief. Okay. 3 is find a new belief. Okay. In fact, I'm not going to go through, we're just going to step right into the process. How about we do that? Because we're running short on time, and I want to just dig right in. You guys already have a lot of background on this because of what you've already experienced in Chris's presentation. So I'm going to invite you all. We're going to do this together. I love whole group processes. This is going to be fun. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. And we're going to ground. We're going to get really clear. Now, I'm going to tell you something really important about this space. Grounding means you allow yourself to be truly present. Being truly present. The only way you can be present is if you check criticism and judgment out the door. So anything you observe here, we're not going to say, well, that's dumb. I don't know why I believe that's just the silliest thing, but it just keeps coming to my mind. We're not going to do that. I invite you to check judgment and criticism at the door, okay? Close your eyes and take a deep breath. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And let's just observe. Let's look at this. What do we have? We're going to stop blaming. We're going to stop making excuses. We're stepping into responsibility and observation without judgment and criticism. What am I observing? What kind of emotions are coming up for me right now? What kind of feedback is my body giving me? Am I overweight? Am I suffering from chronic illness? Do I have a disease? Am I tired all the time? Do I get headaches? Have I been in victimhood today? We're going to move on to step 2. What's the number 1 limiting belief keeping you from your greatness right here, right now? When you have it, write it down. And when you have it written down, raise your hand and keep your hand up so I can gauge where we are. I'm going to give you 30 more seconds. And if your arm's tired, go ahead and put it down. I'll check in 30 seconds and have you all raise again. the number one thought that comes to mind that's holding me back? Okay, now, raise your hand if you're ready to move on. Okay, good. We're going to go on for the sake of time. Most of you raised your hands. So now look at that belief. Just look at it for a second and ask yourself this question. Do I want this to be true? I get to choose. I'm a student of Byron Katie. I really love her works. And then I was telling Chris about, this question of, is it true? And he said, well, what about the question of, do I want it to be true? Loved it. That's what I say now. Do I want it to be true? Because I get to decide. Do I want it to be true? And then the next question is it serving me? What has been the cost of this belief? Really look at it. How has it affected your marriage? How has it affected, or your relationships? Anybody that you interact with? How is it affecting your pocketbook? Put an actual dollar amount to the cost that this limiting belief is costing you. How is it affecting your ability to step into your personal power? How is it affecting your physical body? Write these costs down. Then ask yourself, am I ready to shift? Raise your hand if you're ready to shift. You might say, I don't know if I'm ready. Then explore those costs a little further. We're going to move on, though. Then the last question is, we're going to move on to step 3 right here. Is there a new belief that will serve me better?